Alright, good evening. It's a Sunday afternoon, late evening, early evening, I guess. PriceIsKing.com. Please subscribe and like on these videos. Please comment, and let's get into our futures update as to what's going on. And let's talk about what transpired this past week, and let's look at what's happening this upcoming week as well. Let's get started. Remember, like and subscribe, and I would like you guys to leave me a comment if there's something that you want to see, something that you want me to comment. I'd be happy to take on any particular stocks that you want me to look at and take a stab at it. All right, so let's dive in right into. Let's start with the Dow. All right. So what you're seeing here, let's see. I took away a lot of the details on the 5-minute chart. This is what you're looking at, the 5-minute. If you're doing an intraday trading, I'm going to take a step back and go back to the daily. Okay. If you take a look at the daily, let's talk about what's happening, where we are, and we can actually take it back a few years and add the fibs on the multiple years behind us, instead of just looking at the last previous dip. Let's take a look at the ultimate dip way back here in 21. All right. And this was, let me remove this because this was a recent intraday that we were talking about the other day on the live zoom in. Okay, so we got some of this. All right, so let me add the fibs and see where we are. We got the low over here, we got the high over here, and okay, so that's one. That's extensions. Okay, we're looking at extensions, and you'll see when just looking at it from afar away, look what happened. The 38.2, it touched the 38.2, and this was a few weeks ago, few days, I guess 2 weeks ago. And then it made a lower high, and I'm sorry if you cannot see this, let me zoom in, and I do have this on 4K recording, so you should be able to see a good substantial quality, improved quality on this. Now, what are we looking at? Okay, so I removed the Bollinger Bands because I was doing a video on the intraday trading, and I wanted to kind of give you guys a picture as to what's happening. Right, we have the 50-day moving average, which is the green bars, and then you got the orange mustard looking color, that is the 200-day moving average. Okay, when we did this, we put some of these support lines on the bottom, we put some of these support lines here. Now what's happening, what's you see, we have made some lower highs compared to what we saw over here, so there's a potential for it to rip higher and go over there. That's if this lower high, first of all, needs to be broken. Okay, so if you're looking at it from that perspective, we've tried to go as high as the previous, which it did. It's kind of stalled in this area, and it's trying to break down and go below the 200-day moving average. Now what's going to happen if we're looking at it from a smaller price range perspective? Our fib number on the longer perspective is all the way up here. Where's the next one? It's way below down here, right? So you got this, and then the huge drop down. So the 23 actually works really well, and it came down, touched it, and then went up back as high as this area, which I was talking about in the previous video, of it being a resistance area. All right, now if this continues to stay resistance, we're looking at it coming back down here, and if it breaks, which it most likely will, it will try to hover back up and try to break this resistance area. It's going to try to break both the 200 and the 50-day moving average, and when it does, then the next ultimate target we're looking at is on this resistance. Okay. So what you want to do is be mindful of that, and that's where it's gravitating. And if you're looking at it from a short perspective, let me take out the longer drawing out on the fibs. All right. If you take away the fibs, you're just looking at like a pretty much like a sideway area right here. In this case, where we're forming a channel, it's kind of broken out over here, but then you got this and you got this, right? So it's hovering around in here. You got the low, the previous low, down all the way over here at 28 and change, and then the highs all the way over here. Okay, so right now what we're looking at is trying to break, and it's hovering and trying to go up, right? And the reason why I say that is because you got this low here, then made it high, then made it higher, and it made another high. Right? All these lower highs indicates that we're going to try to continue a push up. But on the other hand, and the other thing to look at is, look, it broke this area, right? It broke this, and then it broke the previous high. And now these are just, profit-taking people over the past few days, and we've heard some bad news right around the world, and so people may just take some, profit-taking. We're getting into the earnings season, so now, based on how those things transpire, this may continue riding up, and then there's going to be some momentum about the holiday season coming up, and when that picks up, it's going to try to drive it itself up. So this is what's going on. In terms of like, what do you guys want to do? What do you think you want to do? Like, are you going to take a long? And so now you have to take it by each candle, right? Every single day. You have to look at the previous candle. You had a whole bunch of sellers come in. Like the buyers came in and then boom, took it. The sellers came down, right? Now you got a smaller candle. Mind you that we just opened. So, tomorrow we'll tell the day and see how this behaves. As long as this holds down, we're continuing all the way up. Okay, so that, just be mindful of this area. That's going to be a lot of support area, and it's going to take it up. And if it doesn't, the next leg down is all the way down over here to 33. That's on the down. Let's take a look at the ES. Okay, so similar situation. I zoomed out. Let me remove the open interest study, and then I want to add the fibs at the higher level. So you got the low right here, you got the high right over here, and then you got another sort of low right around here. Okay, and so, and this doesn't give us a clear indication, but it's hovering again right around the 38 too. Okay, now let me zoom in so you guys have a better understanding of what's happening in the most recent few months. You had these higher lows, and then you had this higher low, and then a lower high. You got these lower highs, and then lower lows, and then it's trying to get its break. But look at this, the 200-day moving average actually held in. The 50-day, now it's trying to hold it in and see if the resistance can break through, right? You had two big days that were red days, right? You had this whole upper green days, but then you had profit taking. People take, and then you'll notice the 50-day moving average kind of kept it in. And now you're kind of in between this area, right? Now, what's going to happen? The next few days, you want to be mindful of this area, the 43.40. If that holds in, if it comes back down to this area, maybe you want to take a long for a few ticks up, and that's a good swing strategy. But at the same time, you want to be mindful of any news that come out and take it back down to the 200-day moving average, right? So what I'm thinking is this right here would be a good buy area. Okay, and that'll get you some good points to go back up to the 50-day moving average, and it wants to hover and navigate towards the 38.2 on the fibs. That's what I'm looking at in terms of no news events, price action strategy. This is what it's looking at. Okay, so you might see this high being broken in the next few days. If that's the case, that's what it's going to gravitate towards. And then on the below side, this is where it's going to gravitate towards, based on what ends up happening. And I may make a video on the morning trades between 9:30 and 11. The morning trades, I think those trades are ideal. I'm going to try to set up a video and show everyone exactly the optimum time and how I do it once I know what's going on overall, and then how I'm going to trade during that morning 9:30 to 11 o'clock. So I'll put out a video on that. Let's take a look at the NQ. On the NQ, let's see, a lot of, NQ moves a lot, ups and downs. You got a lot of volume area, which makes it really fun to trade. But if you don't understand the volumes on the NQ, what ends up happening is you end up getting eaten up alive on the NQ, because it does move a lot. And if you get in at the wrong time and then you see it go the other way, you're going to want to exit, and then you're going to be like, oh man, I wish I had traded something else instead of NQ. But that's just the way NQ works. Once you get a handle of NQ, it's actually a beauty to trade. So let's take a look over here. You had this some sideways, it broke out, and then what you got is higher, kept on going up and up. And this is on the daily charts. Each candle represents a daily. We had this crossover here back in, was that April? And ever since then, it's just been going up. Anytime there's a dip, buy, dip, buy, dip, buy. So what I'm looking at is if there's another dip, that'll probably be a support area in this area, right? This 32.8 is the next down leg if it does reach down here. But what I'm looking at is now this 50-day moving average is hovering around this area. So what I'm looking at is most likely this is going to gravitate towards the 50% on the fib. Okay, so it's going to try to go ahead and hit this mark, and so be mindful of that. I'm looking at that's probably the next area. Okay, but first it's going to have to break this and this. So that's the area, and you want to try to watch this area as well. Okay, so if it breaks below this, then you know the next leg is this, and then once that breaks, then it's just all the way down here. Okay, so that's what's going on the NQ. Keep trading them. Let me know if you have any questions, if there's something different that you want me to add to my charts. I didn't add the Bollinger Bands because I've got some feedbacks about having too much stuff on the chart, and not everybody is aware. But what I do is I'd like to add other studies, the MACD, and as well as I like to add the RSI, and usually I do that for intraday tradings. When you start adding them on the intraday trading, when's a good entry area, right? Once you identify, okay, today's going to be a red candle, so I'm going to try to avoid going long on those red days. And then the same thing is true when you have a green candle on the daily chart. You try to avoid going short on those green days. And once you identify that, and you go on your either 5-minute charts or your 1-minute chart, depending on how fast you do and how much scalping you want to do, you take a look at the MACD and the RSI. Make a determination as to when, where, how you want to do this, how you want to trade it. And if you don't like specific MACD histograms, you can there's various different other simpler, or even crossovers. There's so many different ways that you can look at, and I usually like the one with the just a plain simple. There's other ones as well. So if you add other MACDs, it won't give you the histogram. It'll just give you the lines, right? So you just cross whenever trade whenever there's a cross. I don't really like that because I like to see what's really going on. RSI is another one that I add on intraday, and the other one that I've custom written is my RAM indicator. And so generally I'd like to just add them on the the chart to indicate where exactly is this going, right? And I tend to really like to trade based on where it is. Anytime there's a cross, I just go long. Like in this case, I would have gotten long, right? And then as soon as it crossed, I would have gone long. But when you see a green candle like this, you wait for the sellers to sell and then get in, as long as it's above the MACD. It works out great. I mean, if you look at the intraday 1 minute candle and you trade on the 1 minute candles, I do have a separate one. I do have a 1 minute. Yes, I did. I knew I had it. And so when you end up doing that, you end up making pretty decent amount of trades. As soon as it crosses above, I'll find an opportunity for it to come down, go long. A few handles. Crosses below, go short. Boom. Obviously, you'd have a stop sign. Remember, risk is always in the play wherever you make these trades. So if I were to go long here, my risk would have been over here. Same thing, risk would have been over here. Try to go for longs. Same thing whenever it crosses, risk is over here. Once you're over here, risk is over here, and try to avoid too many and with trading futures, you're gonna always have a lot of paper cuts, right? The idea is how you manage those paper cuts and how much of profit that you're going to take. It always makes up at the end of the day. I'll make another video on my trading screen, my waves. I do talk about my waves in my trading course, so you guys have an understanding of how I trade. On the longs, see, these are my wave charts, and then I got some 10 minutes. I got my Renkos, and I look at the long-term pictures as well, 15, 30, 60. A lot of these things I just look at just to see where things are going on the longer picture. And then this main chart is my 1 minute chart, my 1 minute chart where I trade. And that's where it is. Let me know if you want this workspace for your Ninja Trader. Thanks. Talk to you soon. Price is King. Like and subscribe. Thanks, guys.